Hello and welcome. It's so nice to have you here with me. Pull up a chair and let's get started. Imagine you are walking down a long road. This road is very, very old. Older than any building you have ever seen. Older than any story you have ever heard. The ground under your feet has been walked on by thousands of people. Farmers, warriors, kings, priests, mothers carrying their children, soldiers carrying their swords. Each one of them lived a life full of hope and struggle. Each one of them left something behind. And today, you and I are going to walk that road together. We are going to travel back in time, back to a land covered in green forests and cold rivers. A land of mist and mystery. A land that one day became one of the most powerful places in the world. That land is England, and this is its story. A very long time ago, before there were cities, before there were kings, before there were books or schools or roads, there was a land. This land was wild and beautiful. It was covered in thick forests. Rivers ran cold and clear through the valleys. Animals moved quietly through the trees. And in this land, small groups of people lived simple lives. These people are called the ancient tribes of Britain. They did not have big houses. They did not have money. They lived in small villages, close to the land, close to the water, close to each other. They hunted animals for food. They grew wheat and barley in small fields. They made tools from stone and bone. Life was hard, but it was also full of meaning. These early people believed deeply in the world around them. They believed that the rivers had spirits, that the trees were alive with power, that the sky watched over them. They built great stone circles, like the famous Stonehenge, to connect with the sun and the seasons. Standing stones that still stand today, thousands of years later, silent and still, like old teachers waiting to be understood. And even then, even in those earliest days, something was growing in this land, something quiet, something strong. A story was beginning. And the question is, where would it lead? Many hundreds of years passed. The tribes of Britain lived and grew and fought with each other. They were brave people, strong people, but they were alone in their island, far from the great empires of the world. And then, one day, something changed. Across the sea, in a land called Rome, a powerful general looked at a map. He looked at a small island at the edge of the known world, and he decided to go there. That general was Julius Caesar. And in the year 55 BC, Roman soldiers landed on the shores of Britain for the first time. The tribes of Britain were not ready. They fought hard. Some of them were very brave. But the Romans were well organized. They had better weapons, better plans, better discipline. Caesar came. He looked. He fought. But he also left. He went back to Rome. Britain was not yet ready to become Roman. But the Romans did not forget. Nearly 100 years later, in the year 43 AD, the Roman army came back. This time, they came to stay. And slowly, over many years, they changed everything. They built long, straight roads across the land. They built towns and bridges. They brought new languages, new laws, new ways of thinking. The wild island of ancient tribes began to change. It began to grow. But deep in the hills and the forests, the old ways did not disappear completely. And that is a very important thing to remember in this story. Time passed. The great Roman Empire began to grow weak. After almost 400 years in Britain, the Roman soldiers slowly left. They were needed in other places. The empire was falling apart. And when they left, Britain was alone again. But this time, it was different, because now new people were coming. From across the cold North Sea, warriors and farmers from the lands we now call Germany and Denmark began to cross the water. These people were called the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. They were strong, adventurous people. They came looking for land, for a new home. And they found it. They settled in the green valleys and rolling hills of Britain. They built new villages. They spoke a new language, a language that was the early beginning of the English we speak today. The Angles gave their name to their new land. They called it Angleland. And slowly, over many years, that name became England. Think about that for a moment. The name of one of the most famous countries in the world came from a small tribe of people who crossed the sea looking for a better life. This is what history teaches us, that big things often start very small, that names and words carry enormous power. The Anglo-Saxons, as they came to be known, created kingdoms across the land. Small kingdoms, each with its own king, each with its own laws. And for a while, there was peace. But peace in the ancient world never lasted very long. Just when the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms began to feel settled, just when life began to feel a little more calm, the horizon changed. Ships appeared. Long, narrow ships with tall, decorated heads, ships that moved fast across the gray water. And the people on those ships were not coming to trade. They were not coming to talk. The Vikings had arrived. The Vikings came from the far north, from the lands of Norway and Denmark. They were fierce and fearless sailors. They raided the coasts of England. They attacked monasteries and villages. They took gold and food and people. The English people were terrified. Monks wrote about them in their diaries with shaking hands. Who were these strangers from the sea? What did they want? At first, the Vikings only came to raid and then leave. But slowly, they began to stay. They settled in the north and east of England. They brought their own language, their own gods, their own ways. And once again, England was a land of different people, different cultures, different voices. But in the middle of all this fear and change, one man stood up. One king refused to give up. His name was Alfred, Alfred the Great. And his story is one of the most remarkable in all of English history. A young king, almost defeated, hiding in the marshes, slowly building his strength, learning, planning, and waiting for the right moment to fight back. Alfred was the king of Wessex, a kingdom in the south of England. When the Vikings came with great force, many English kings fell. many kingdoms were lost. Alfred himself had to run. He hid in the swamps and forests of Somerset, with only a few loyal men around him. It was a dark time, a time of doubt and fear. But Alfred did not stop thinking. He did not stop planning. He studied the enemy. He understood that to fight the Vikings, he needed more than courage. He needed organization. He built a new kind of army. He built a network of fortified towns across his kingdom, called burhs, so that people had safe places to go. He trained his soldiers carefully. And when the moment came, he fought back. He defeated the Viking leader Guthrum in a famous battle. And after the victory, Alfred did something extraordinary. He did not kill Guthrum. Instead, he offered him peace. He asked him to become Christian. He brought him into the story of England. This was wisdom, real wisdom. Alfred also believed deeply in education. He translated books from Latin into English so that more people could learn to read. He started a great record of English history called the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. He believed that a strong country needed not only brave soldiers, but educated, thinking people. Alfred the Great did not unite all of England by himself, but he planted the seed. He showed what was possible. And the kings who came after him continued his journey, until finally, England became one kingdom, one land, one story. Many years after Alfred, England continued to grow. Kings came and went. Some were wise, some were cruel, some were brave, some were weak. And then, in the year 1066, everything changed again. A powerful Norman duke from across the English Channel, a man named William, believed that the English throne belonged to him. And when the English King Harold refused to give it up, William gathered his army and crossed the sea. The two armies met at the Battle of Hastings on a hill in the south of England. It was a long and terrible battle. By the end of the day, King Harold was dead. William had won. And from that moment, England was never the same again. The Normans brought a new language, a new ruling class, new laws, new ways of building. The great stone castles that still stand across England today, those were Norman. The French words that filled the English language today, words like beef, castle, royal, justice, those came from the Normans. England became a mixing place, a land where ancient tribes, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, and Normans had all left something behind. And from all of those different people, from all of those different stories, something new was slowly being born. A language, a culture, a nation. And that is the remarkable truth at the heart of this story. England was never just one thing. It was always a journey. A long, slow, beautiful journey made by many different people walking the same road. Just like you, as an English learner, are on your own journey. Every word you understand is a step forward. Every story you listen to is a door opening. Keep walking. Keep listening. The road ahead is full of wonderful things. And speaking of roads, this one does not end here. England's story kept going long after 1066, through powerful kings and great wars, through empires that touched every corner of the world, through revolutions, discoveries, and extraordinary change, all the way to the England we know today. And I am thinking about bringing you part 2 of this journey, a story that moves closer to our own time, a story full of fascinating moments that still shape the world we live in right now. But before I begin writing, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me one simple word. Yes. That is all you need to say. Just yes. And if enough of you say it, I will sit down and I will write that story for you. Because this channel exists for you, the listener, the learner, the one who showed up today and chose to grow. This has been Storyline English. I will see you next time, right here, on this road we walk together.